Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Awesome. Then we can get this class started. Please don't forget to scan the QR code if you haven't done so already, to mark your attendance. And first and foremost, I'd like to welcome you all back. Semester, and this time you are joining me for a semester of urban management. I see that there are 11 of you in the class, so I think we're still missing one one participant, but that's okay. I was actually hoping that this class would be I was actually hoping that this class would either be hybrid or offline, but here we are once again, interfacing through the wonders of modern day technology. Right. So without further ado, here's what we are going to talk about over the for your information. This urban management class is going to be taught solely by me, because of scheduling and resources reasons. So yeah, you'll be stuck with me for the next 16 weeks. What is this course all about? That's what we're going to try and cover. That's what we'll try and cover today. We're not going to go into too much. We're not going to go into too much details for the time being. So I'm going to talk about the background, what urban management essentially is, and why do we need to pay attention to urban management? What is its significance, and who are the stakeholders in urban management? And then we'll talk about how this course will be and so forth. All right. And so sorry about that. I think I just got cut out.
Yes, sir, you were a bit lagging.
Okay. Let's see if killing my video would help. Okay. Where were we? We were talking. I was talking about the textbook definition of urban management. It is essentially any effort to mobilize and utilize various resources to support each other in planning, program preparation, program implementation, operations and maintenance for city development purposes. Or in a nutshell, it is basically how to manage or how to mobilize and use all the resources for the betterment of the society living in cities, essentially. And how we go about doing that, we'll break the course down into several themes. I think there are around 11 or 12 themes that we will cover in this course. I sort of adjusted the number of themes to the number of participants, in the class, just so that just to make it a bit more manageable. So from that definition, as I mentioned, that we are that we're talking about the use and the mobilization of various resources that we have that is available to us. So it could be natural resources, it could be human resources, it could be man-made resources, it could be social or cultural or even capital, and any other type of resources that is available that I may not have defined in this slide. We're going to go, so urban management is all about how we can optimize, how we can synchronize all of those resources to minimize conflict, and use them in all stages of management, planning, organizing, actuating, and controlling. POAC is an acronym for planning, organizing, actuating, and controlling. It is a term that is normally found in in project management. Those are the stages of project management, and if you decide to take if you decide to take project management later on in the 7th or the 8th semester, then we'll talk about we'll break down these stages and to see how those stages play out in the context of urban planning and such. So planning, organizing, actuating, and controlling, and within all these stages, there are three. This diagram sort of hints on the three major or the three primary stakeholders of urban management, or I guess this is the three primary stakeholders, not only in urban management but also in planning in general. So there's the public sector or the government, there's the civil society, and then there's also the private sector. So there's public governance, civil society, and corporate governance, and all of this is to illustrate that how good governance should be. So ideally, it's the crossover of good civil society, good public governance, and good corporate governance, and this is something that we would be exploring throughout the next few weeks under various themes. And of course, we will be encountering many different buzzwords, if you might call it. You can call it buzzwords if you like, or keywords like eco-city, eco-regions, green cities, green regions, resilient cities, livable cities, livability, safe, and then of course smart city or region. So, and of course, we all know that there is something called the Sustainable Development Goals, and I think that's one theme that we will be touching on a bit later on in the course. So why is urban management imperative? Well, other than looking at other than the fact that urban management is about mobilizing resources, but urban management is important, is crucial vital because, well, because of the nature of urbanism itself. So if you look, I should change this, not from I should change this. Instead of challenge, instead of urban challenge, it should be urban threat. Why do I say urban threat? Well, because we have these two, these two aspects here: urbanization and urban growth. So urbanization is the driver of urban growth, be it demographic growth, be it physical, urban and regional growth. And if urbanization and growth are not managed properly, then they would lead to urban, I'd prefer to say threats rather than challenges, because they are, because it does sort of, in a sense, threaten our quality of life. So, and what do these threats manifest themselves as? Well, they manifest themselves in many different forms. I'm just giving you a universal sort of illustration of what cities could be without proper management. So, and to be honest, I strongly believe that there is no such thing as a poor city or a poor nation for that fact. There is only well-managed and mismanaged cities and nations. So we could be looking at slums as the outcome of mismanagement. We could be looking at natural or not natural, but we could be looking at man-made disasters as a result of mismanagement, or maybe even the lack of even poor quality of life as a result of mismanagement. And the course, this course is structured in a way to illustrate how different components that make up the urban environment could have a cascading effect to society in general, because the city, whichever way you see it, the city can be, and the city has a human aspect to it, of course, and the city is also an ecosystem, can be viewed as a political ecosystem. The city can be viewed as an economic ecosystem, or the city can also be viewed as a technological ecosystem, in the sense that all the technological advances that are then invested into making more efficient and more effective infrastructure and so on. But in this course, we'll be looking at the city primarily as an ecosystem for humans. So the city as a human ecosystem. And with that, we have within the human ecosystem, we have critical resources such as natural resources, socioeconomic resources, and cultural resources. And then we have the social system, which consists of the social institutions, the social cycles, and the social order, such as norms, whether they be informal or formal, wealth, power, status, and so on. And this little diagram of the structure of human ecosystems illustrate the flow of the ecosystem, basically, whether they could be individual flows, energy flows, or information. It could be material, it could be money, and so on. So that's basically how we're going to view the city in the next few coming weeks. Now, I hope this bit doesn't. So when we look at the different stakeholders, in in urban and regional development, we have the state or the public or the state or the public sector, and we have civil society and we have private sector. However, if we think about it, I don't think these three categories are rigid, if you know what I mean. For example, I'll make myself, I'll set myself as an example for this discourse. Take me as an individual. I am a part of civil society because I am a registered individual of this country. I am a citizen. I am a citizen of this country. I'm a citizen of a city in the country. So I am a part of civil society. However, if you look at my if you look at my employment status, then I am a part of the state because, well, I am a civil servant working for the Ministry of Education. So I'm probably right here. So if I have a business, whatever business it may be, then I'm also a part of the private sector. So this sort of diagram is not exactly as rigid as it may be. So I could be in this intersection right here, or I could be in this intersection right here. You could be in this intersection, or maybe you could be right there in the middle in that intersection, depending on what layer or what role you play in society. But just to make it easier, I guess we could sort of consider that these three stakeholders or these three categories are rigid, but in reality, they're anything but. You know, I once asked first year students during the introduction to urban and regional planning. So the first semester students, I asked them, which is more complex, space travel or urban planning? Most of them said space travel. Of course, it's a no-brainer. And then I told them, well, you know what? In space travel, all you need, the goals are very clear. All you need to do is build a rocket, send it to space, and pray that it comes back. The way the rocket operates is the rocket is governed by the laws of physics, and the laws of physics are very much set in stone. You have formulas, you have models to sort of help you design the spaceship and achieve your goal. Urban planning, on the other hand, deals with a lot more uncertainty. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but we have statistical models. We can project, we can predict what's going to happen in the future based on the data that we have right now. You know, we can extrapolate patterns and so on and so forth. Yeah, but what you're essentially predicting are trends. You're not exactly predicting something or calculating something that is exact. It's not an exact science. Why? Because you're dealing with humans. Now remember, the city is a human ecosystem after all. So we're planning for humans. We're planning for a great degree or a great deal of uncertainty, and therefore, urban planning is far more complex than space travel. I believe so. So, to do all that, to discuss all that, I've sort of redesigned, I sort of designed this semester's course, sort of designed it into different themes, and we'll talk about how we go about with the course evaluation a little later on. So let's first have a look at the themes we'll be talking about. In a nutshell, this course is all about identifying urban threats and challenges, and then assessing them using the political or the political and regulatory frameworks that we have, and then we will determine the instruments or tools that we will be using to sort of solve or to overcome the urban challenges. Now, some of these issues are, but not limited to, so housing provision, infrastructure and public services, and land management. It could be the issue of improving urban information systems, or maybe improved urban information systems actually present different challenges to the current policy framework. It could be the issue of strengthening the urban informal sector, and or perhaps the challenge would be to increase urban institutional capacity. So again, these are some of the issues, but they're not limited to that, because as we will discuss a little later on, there are about 11 or 12 themes that we're going to sort of dig into. So what are the themes? Well, okay, so there are 11 themes rather than 12. And these themes I have set in a way, some of you may have seen the sections in our classroom. The sections are divided into these themes as well. The order of the themes are there for a reason. So, as I mentioned, that urbanization is a primary driver of, well, I view it as the primary driver of urban growth, and therefore that is a primary driver, or that would be the source of urban challenges. So the first theme to discuss is urbanization, sprawl, and perhaps even agglomeration of larger cities, forming megacities. And then urban growth needs management, of course, but how do we go about managing it? Well, first of all, we have urban land management. So this is the first component, or the first element that we will the first element in the urban sphere, because we need land to ensure growth. We need land for any sort of activity to take place. And so, but any activity that promotes growth, or any activity that promotes or any economic activity will not, economic or social activity for that matter, will not well, it's just not gonna cut it. If you only have land, you also need infrastructure. So urban infrastructure management is the next theme. We'll be exploring how these infrastructures, how urban infrastructure provision, urban infrastructure financing, and the typical issues that arise or that can be found in urban infrastructure management. Urban growth bring about a lot of people. You have land, you have infrastructure, but if you don't have access to housing, then you're gonna definitely run into some issues. So after providing land, after providing infrastructure, it's housing that that we will be talking about. Now, what is the difference between urban housing management in this course and housing and settlement in the other in the other course? Well, the difference is that the housing and settlement course will be having a deeper focus in urban housing, whereas here we will focus only on the issues of housing provision and how do we tackle housing backlog and so on. So it's not so much of theory. So we'll focus more on case studies in this course or throughout this course. So you have urbanization, you have urbanization, but if you don't access to land, if you don't have access to infrastructure, if you don't have access to housing, then you are missing out on many different opportunities, and therefore you will have poverty in cities. We'll have a look at that and how poverty in cities generally affect not only those living marginally, but also how poverty in cities can actually affect all layers of society. And then as a city grows and ages, they have cultural heritage, historically significant places, historically significant structures, and so on. And we'll also have a look at how these significant structures, how these significant places are managed. We also have urban revitalization, which will basically talk about how, if we don't have how can we reuse abandoned facilities, abandoned structures, because we do need to conserve our land resources anyway. So how could we use urban revitalization as a leverage for the betterment of society in general? Now, managing these historic and cultural resources can be a bit tricky, because, as I mentioned, the city is a human ecosystem, and humans have different needs. Humans have different wants. Conflict is bound to arise. The more people you have, the more potential, the more possibility for conflict there is. So we'll also be having a look at conflict management, of course, within the scope of urban development and urban management, which would be, for example, NIMBYism, so not in my backyard-ism, that sort of thing. You can build anywhere, but don't build here. And we'll have a look at how NIMBYism can affect progress, how NIMBYism can affect development. And of course, if you have properly managed urbanization, you have abundant land, you have good infrastructure, proper housing, no poverty, your heritage and your heritage management is spick and span, and you're able to leverage urban revitalization to sort of help in conflict management, then you will have then you are a step closer to sustainable urban management. Sustainable urban within this theme, we'll explore what exactly is sustainable urban management. Are there any what are the best practices? What are the what are the what are great ideas on paper, but not so great, not such a great idea once you put them into practice and so on. And then as an element of novelty, I have added the theme Smart City in this course. Now, this is a new theme. We haven't really had a look at it so far, but I'm sure with the advancement of modern day technology, especially communication technology, information and communication technology, adding a layer of digitalization into our everyday lives. I think that smart city is a contemporary issue that we should be exploring, especially in this course. Now, the last theme, disaster management, urban disaster management, I have added as well because, well, I am a disaster. No, actually, no, that's not what I mean. That's not what I meant. Disaster management is one of my many interests. So I thought, well, I might as well just put it there because the way we anticipate, the way we plan for disasters, and of course, how we recover afterwards, how do we bounce back, and our resilience also determine our overall well-being and quality of life within a city. So these are the 11 themes that we will be exploring throughout this course. Now, normally, I'd be asking you to choose a theme, to pick a theme, and then you will have a weekly presentation, and you will be presenting the definition of each theme and presenting case studies and so on. However, just recently, I have received an offer to revise and reissue a book that that I published a few years ago. The publisher has offered me to revise and republish the book, or I could propose an entirely new book to them. Hang on. Okay, so at the moment, after receiving this offer, I thought, well, maybe I could sort of integrate this idea of publishing an entirely new book into this course. Now, since there are only 11 of you, and you'll be communicating and interacting exclusively with me throughout the semester, I thought, oh well, if we're going to do this class offline, we'll have a roundtable discussion every week, and that would be that. However, since we're doing it this way, then okay, fine. I'll just put this offer and integrate it with our assessment plans. So I'm proposing a project-based evaluation for us to co-author an urban management themed book. The final manuscript by the end of the semester, hopefully we will have a final manuscript to submit to the publisher and for them to publish. So to do that, I am proposing individual assignments because there are 11 themes. We'll have 11 chapters, and because this is an individual assignment, so therefore we have 11 authors. What will my role be? Well, these are the themes. And I haven't told you that we will be focusing on how to compile strategic plans and action plans. So my contribution to the book will be a chapter or two on strategic planning and action plans, which will precede the 11 themes and so on. How would each of those 11 chapters look like? Well, they will be divided into three major sections. The first section would be to introduce the case study and issue identification. So what's the problem in the location that you chose? What's the problem? The second part would be any plausible solutions. What are the possible solutions? What are the plausible solutions? And to be able to come up with plausible solutions, you need to gather case studies. So case studies from here, there, local case studies, international or global case studies, and select which of these case studies or best practices provide a plausible solution to the issue that you have identified. And once you sort of identified, okay, well, maybe one or two options that are plausible solutions to the issue, then you go about in the third and final segment to formulate vision and mission or strategic plans, and then action plans. How would the resources be mobilized? Who are the actors involved, and so on and so forth. So this is my grand vision, so to say. If you have any sort of questions or comments on that, I'd like for you to hold on to them until I finish this segment. So it's a project-based evaluation to compile to co-author a book. However, we still have the evaluation framework from the department. So we are still bound to the 4 evaluation components. So what I'm proposing is that by the end of this semester, you will each produce 1 chapter, and these chapters are divided into 2 parts. The first is the first part would be a case study essay draft, and then you'll present that draft, and then after presenting that, you will begin to formulate a case study final essay, and then a final presentation. In the first draft, it would focus mainly on the first segment of the chapter, which is the issue identification. You might want to go into you might want to discuss plausible solutions, but that is entirely up to you, I think. So, but focus mainly on the issue identification, and then in the final essay, once the initial draft has been revised, you will then add to that draft. So you're not going to make a new manuscript, but you're going to add to that draft and present the plausible solutions and the strategic and action plans to help bring these solutions into reality. And then you'll present your solutions, of course. So these are the 4 evaluation components that I am proposing. So instead of normally you would do weekly presentations, and your presentations get uploaded into Classroom. And near the end of the semester, I would evaluate and assess them all. You get a grade, and then all those presentations will be scrapped by the Directorate of Information Technology in ITS. So the class would be reset. So for the upcoming semester, to prepare for the upcoming semester, unless I do, so all of your ideas and all of your thoughts, well, rather than, in my opinion, rather than having them go down the drain, it would be a nice way to document your brilliant ideas, and yeah, and to make something out of it. Excuse me. So, as I mentioned, the first draft or the case study essay would be an introduction to the case study. Where is it located? Why is that location significant, and so on. I have drafted an assessment criteria, and then do provide a description of the issue. What's going to happen if you let the issue if you let the issue or the problem persist. If the problem persists, what will happen? Would there be any social or environmental or economic implications, and so on? And of course, you should have references or a bibliography at the end of the essay. More details, you can find more details on the assessment criteria that I will be uploading later today. Now, for the case study presentations, we will begin from week 3 all the way through week 8. 2 presentations per week, and non-presenters will be discussants. So I will randomly choose a name. I will randomly choose a name from a bowl or from a hat. I'll draw names, and I will be asking them to review or to discuss the material that has been presented by the presenters. So what are we gonna talk about in week 2? Well, I was just about to get to that. So on week 2 or next week, I'll deliver a lecture on strategic planning, the pros and cons, or the pros and critiques of strategic planning, and of course, action planning, and how to compile an action plan. That way, by the time you research your themes, you'll have an idea of what strategic planning is, and what action plans may look like. I've also posted a couple of short videos on what strategic planning is, and how to formulate a strategic plan, and how to compose an action plan in our classroom. And you can have a look at that as well. For the final draft, you will be continuing your manuscript by providing plausible solutions. These can be drawn from similar cases or best practices, and then you would choose which of these would be the suitable options, considering the local demography, local resources, local institutional capacity, and so on. And then you will formulate a vision and mission, or a strategic plan to solve the issues at hand, and then how you will go about in implementing the strategic plan. And then you will have a final presentation. When I say final, quote unquote, is because after you present, you will then of course revise or review your manuscript, and then revise or review your manuscript prior to final submission. Same with the previous section. So from week 9 to 14, we'll have 2 presentations per week, and non-presenters will be discussants. So from week 3 to week 14, we will have a lot of in-depth discussions on the 11 themes on offer. If you have any idea of a different theme, then you may do so. The title of your essay does not have to be exactly the same name as the theme. So, for example, if you pick urban housing management, then the title of your chapter may not be urban housing management by blah. But it could be housing provision, it could be housing finance, or whatnot. After we have these presentations, and you have formulated a next to final draft, on either week 15 or 16, we will have an internal peer review of essays. And what I mean by internal peer review of essays is this is the chance for you to read your fellow students' work, and you get to evaluate them. You get to evaluate and assess their work. Does it make sense to you? Does it make sense to you? Is it clear? Is the information relevant, and so on and so forth. So you get to, in a way, you get to sort of determine whether your peers pass or not. No, I'm sure you guys will pass. I'm just kidding. So just a little add-on. Can I have a show of hands? From the number of raised hands, how many of you are familiar with reference manager applications? Raise your hand if you're familiar with reference management softwares. Okay. All right. Okay. Only one of you. Right. That's okay. Thank you very much, Gary. Well, if you're not familiar with reference management software, then I suggest that you get yourself that you familiarize yourself with these with the softwares. That's okay if you're not familiar enough. I suggest you familiarize yourself with these softwares because they will be a major help. Especially considering that you are now in the 6th semester, you will be compiling your final project proposal next semester. Yes, you can ask each other. You can ask Gary to teach you. You can also have a look at various tutorials on YouTube and such. So get familiar with reference managers such as Mendeley that I'm showing you here right now, or other free options like Zotero, but I'm not so familiar with Zotero. I primarily use Mendeley. Get familiar with these because they're super helpful, and they do have a plugin directly in your word processing application. This is just an illustration of how how it looks like on my interface. And then it will help you with compiling your bibliography in the end. Because if you have, for example, this paper that I'm co-authoring with with an alumni, it's got more than 50 references. Sorry. And suffice to say that making sure that all those 50 references appear in the reference list or in the bibliography is a total bitch. So these applications help a lot. And when you're compiling a manuscript for a publisher, then it's these little things, such as the formatting and the quality of the manuscript. Well, references determine the quality of the manuscript. So just consider that. And I think that's all the information I have for you at the moment. I'm really looking forward to making this a great semester, an interesting semester with all of you. But hang on, there's only 11 of you in this class. So what happened to the rest of you?
I think they will take this class as a conversion from the student exchange in SIT, sir.
Okay. Right. Well, that's interesting. But well, I'm glad you're here, because some other classes and some other courses are very I can't find a better word for it. Tapi sepi. So yeah, not too many participants in the other in some of the other courses, and we actually had to close some or cancel some courses this semester, because a lot of you are either on student exchange programs or doing internships and so on. So yeah, does anybody have any comments or any questions with regards to what we will be discussing and what we're going to be doing this semester? You don't have to raise your hand, you can just unmute. Wait, I think there's something else that I'd like to show you. Oh, God. Speaking through a mask into a mic is far from pleasant. So let me just share this little bit with you here. When I say that you're each going to be researching a different theme, I'm not going to just let you sort of wander off into the depths of Google Scholar by yourself. No, this is how our classroom currently looks like. I put the submissions up near the right at the landing page, simply because, well, so that you don't need to scroll through. You don't need to scroll through the entire class just to get to where you want to go. Here, in this folder called the semester apparaat. This is a term that I borrowed from my master studies. Our unit coordinators would set up folders in the library. They call these folders semester apparaat, where they put the primary literature, where they put course modules and everything in there. So this is kind of like the main folder for our course. Now, in the semester apparaat, I haven't uploaded the course documents such as the semester lesson plans and the evaluation plans and the assessment criterias for the manuscript and so on. I'll do so later today. But here you will also find the book chapter template that I've prepared. And I'll be adding some other stuff in there as well. Now, class access, yeah, of course, you're all here. You've seen the class access, but the recordings to the session I will put under the relevant heading. So this first session will be under this first section. I've put in each section I've put thematic readings, so readings according to the section's theme, urban management and spatial planning. This is what we'll be talking about next week, so it would be nice if you could have a look at the videos that I've put on here. What is strategic planning using SWOT and creating an action plan. And then I have, of course, added some additional reading materials here for you to have a look through and for us to discuss in our next meeting. So within this, I have different references for action plans, strategic plans, and there are strategic planning theory and critique there as well. So right now I'm primarily using Classroom to share these resources with you. I do have some reading on urbanization. I do have some reading on urban land management, but I haven't uploaded them just yet on infrastructure, housing management, poverty, heritage. Some of these I have already populated. Others I haven't. Revitalization and urban renewal, conflict in cities, NIMBYism, readings on sustainable management. So all in all, what I'm trying to say is whatever theme you choose, I will most likely have provided at least some reading materials for you to go through before you go on and conduct your own research. For example, here in Smart City, I've provided several international case studies. There is one case study in this book, the Handbook of Smart Cities. This is a very new one, a relatively new book. In this book, Handbook of Smart Cities, there is one case study. There is one local case study, as a matter of fact, that is Bandung Smart City. So download this book, have a look at it, and I'm sure you'll find it interesting. There. And then urban disaster management. Now, urban, as I mentioned, my disasters and disaster management is one of my major interests. So it could be urban fire, it could be flooding, or anything to do with the current situation, perhaps how this pandemic has affected the urban quality of life and so on. And then finally, we have this peer review workshop right down at the bottom, where you will review each of your peers' final draft. So I'm currently editing the assessment form. and you will have and this assessment form will help you when we get to the assessment phase. So when you start reading your friend's work, you will use the assessment form to sort of help grade them. So yeah, you will be influencing your fellow classmates' grades in a sense. So be nice to each other. But no, I've made sure that I have made it I've made my very best effort to make sure that you will not face too much difficulties, so to say. I'm just going to share some of the assessment criteria that I've come up with so far. I haven't edited the assessment criteria for the final draft, but this is the assessment criteria for the initial draft. So it contributes to 30 or 35%, I think it was, towards your final grade. And so I've divided into high distinction. So this is A, B, B or something. But high distinction, credit, pass, and fail. As long as you follow this assessment criteria, you should be able to produce a good manuscript and scoring and doing well in this unit, I'm sure. So ideally, you would provide a detailed description of the case study in the introduction section, description of the locality, mention where the case study is situated, whether it's in what province, in what city, what regency. You should provide demographic information and all other information relevant to the chosen theme. So if you're choosing urbanization and urban growth, then provide the relevant information there. You may want to also describe the locality's geographical, cultural, and/or economic significance. And when you go to identification of issue, you should provide a detailed description of the issue, including the social, environmental, and economic impacts. And you should describe, ideally, future impacts or future implications if the issue persists. If you can't do that, then if you can sort of describe some future implications, then rather than a high distinction, you get a distinction which is in the range of 76 to 85, which is not a bad score, if I may say so myself. You might have a high distinction here and a distinction there, and maybe a credit here, or a high distinction here and a credit here. I'll formulate a way so that the assessment would be as fair as possible. References, it'd be nice if you can cite more than 10 resources. That would be a higher distinction. If you cite between 7 and 10 sources, you'd get a distinction, and so on. So I'm trying to make the assessment criteria as clear and as easy to follow as possible. I would really love to see all of you scoring in the first column right here, not only for the first draft, but also all the way to the final draft. Because at the end of the day, this assessment is not only for you, but also the quality of the manuscript will also affect how the publisher will, it will also affect the publisher's decision to accept the manuscript or to reject the manuscript. So, yeah. That that, my friends, is all I have to share with you in our first meeting. If you do have any questions or comments that may arise, then you may please, you're more than welcome to unmute and speak your voice. Okay, well, you might not have questions for me right at the moment, but if you do have any further questions, then you know how to reach me. So there you go. I might consider setting up a group for this class, so that it's easier for us to coordinate and discuss the manuscript preparation and so on. But yeah, I'll consider it. Other than that, I really look forward to seeing you all again next week. To be honest, I was really hoping to be able to meet you all in person again this semester. However, due to class availability and other issues, then we had to shift the class. We had to shift the class online once again. But I hope that doesn't. I hope that doesn't take away the. Or that doesn't sort of deter the experience of this class. But anyways, I'm glad to be able to see you guys again. And thank you very much for attending this first session. I do apologize for the technical glitch earlier on, but yeah, I look forward to seeing you all next week. Thank you once again. Have a great afternoon. And Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam, thank you, sir.
Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir.